Welcome back to Straight Facts on Friday. I'm joined by Don. Staffy's in the house with me as well. Loads to talk about today. The fallout after an epic week of European football. The Carabao Cup Final was here on Friday. The first piece of silverware of the campaign is on. We're talking transfers as well, with Giovanni Quenda turning down Man United and becoming a Chelsea player. Is it good? Is it bad? It seems to be a move that has unleashed some toxicity amongst all fan bases, and that's also a big talking point for us tonight. We're debating toxic fans. What is a toxic fan? Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it just about standards? We're going to be having that conversation on the show tonight. Everybody, or this evening, this afternoon, depending where you're watching around the world. A big shout out to our title sponsors, Fan Team. We've got a really big final sprint in the EPL to talk to you about that we're going to be doing a draft for, with a massive forfeit for the loser. So that all comes later on the show. But if you want to check out Fan Team, if you want to go and sign up to your free account now, click on the link in our description or scan the QR code on the screen. But gentlemen, how are you both?
Good, man. Good.
I'm not here a lot after a win, so it's good for a change.
Yeah, I see you lot have got a little bit of a spring in your step, man. We'll talk about those penalties anyway, because Staffy was messaging me yesterday and say, yo, we got it back in blood. Because I know in Europe, you don't get done dirty, so I hear it.
I would so say that, bro. We got it back in blood, because I didn't forget that handball, that dodgy handball in Ten Hag's first season. Even the last game, bro, that was not a handball, bro. No. Listen, I couldn't believe what I saw from the referee. He gave us so many penalties that we were like, yo, chill out. Like, we had to give one back. We were like, bro,
listen, they were definitely soft. Did you hear, obviously here in the UK, the commentator mentioned it. This referee is renowned for it. So it wasn't a Man United thing. He gives a lot of penalties. He gives untold yellow cards, and he sends a lot of people off. It's just his way of refereeing. He's very sort of stringent. But
he's shit, basically.
You say crap. I mean, what they have said about him, and I'm not defending his decisions, because I think penalties in UEFA by and large are quite soft. But they were saying that he is consistent in what he does. So he might give Man United 2 penalties today, but he might manage Man United the next game and give 3 against them. It's almost like he's just like that, and it went Man United's way. But I did feel like you, Staffy. I felt like in Europe in the last 4 or 5 years, we had a lot of unfortunate decisions and penalties go against us. I always remember that one that Scott McTominay gave away, where there was a slight touch on the guy's foot. There was all these little things that we conceded, and we never seemed to get that luck back. And we got it in droves last night. But
you never get penalties. I was shocked to see 3 penalties in one game. Obviously, one of them didn't count, but we never get penalties. We never get them. So to get 2 in one game, I was gassed. I couldn't believe it.
Bruno's got a hat-trick, innit?
But
of course.
Yeah,
He's woken up again. Look.
Of course.
Hey, listen, I can't even banter you, man, too much about Leicester coming up, man. Because you lot.
Hey, look, he was ready for the Bruno thing.
You got their number. You'll beat them.
I hope we do. I was happy for Bruno last night, and genuinely happy for him, because, look, he had a torrid first half of this season. He's had bad periods in seasons as well. I've criticised him. I thought he was going to be a player that had to go in terms of big salary, underperforming. Is he a good enough leader? But we're starting to get the very best out of him again. And it isn't just goals and assists. His overall play, look, he makes mistakes. You could put a little compilation together and put some clown music over it and go, oh, look, he gave the ball away. But I think by and large, he played very well. But where I was really happy for him is the first midfielder since Sir Bobby Charlton in 1964 to score a hat-trick in a European knockout game. So from a historic point of view, he has done something only ever done once before. Never done in the latter stages either, by the way, where the real business end is. The first midfielder to ever do that. And even if I'm going to be slightly... Listen, I've never put... Bruno gets nowhere near Sir Bobby Charlton in terms of legendary status at the football club. I would never try to do that. But Sir Bobby Charlton was more of an attacking midfielder, a second striker. Bruno last night was playing in a... You could call it an 8 or a 6, which, you know, the commentators here were saying it was a 6, but he was playing in central midfield. He wasn't playing as a 10 or a second striker. So to score a hat-trick from midfield, his overall performance, I was very, very proud of Bruno Fernandes last night. It was a captain's performance, you know, and look, he was under scrutiny, and rightfully so, earlier on in the season, but I'm just happy that he has turned it round and he's put in performances now that warrant praise, if that makes sense. But yeah, very, very good from him.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if you guys saw that.
Go on, bro.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you guys saw that. He posted a picture yesterday with the hat-trick ball. And you know how usually, like, when you win the hat-trick ball, like, a lot of people like to sign it, like your teammates sign it. Someone wrote, and this is why I find it so funny, because I think that picture should have taught a lot to the fan base. But when you see that, someone wrote on it, and we don't know who. He said, "You were still shit in the first half of the season," and it has a signature. I'd love to know who wrote that. Well, that there just shows you everything you needed to know. I'm so tired of United fans being overly toxic and equally being overly gassed. Bruno had a horrible first half of the season. I don't care what anyone thinks. If you don't think he had a poor first half of the season, you're just oblivious. The guys got sent off like 3 times. That alone should tell you how bad his first half of the season was. Equally, over the last few weeks, I've said it's been about 7 games right now, where no matter what happens, no matter how good or bad we are on the pitch, he is been at least putting up numbers. You got to look at that and say, listen, without him, the last 6-7 games, we probably have a lot more defeats and have a lot less wins. And we didn't even win a lot. So we only have 2 wins in our last 6. So we drew 4 and won 2. Without him, though, there'd be maybe like 4 losses and like 2 draws. Moral of the story is, everyone who just doesn't want to say anything good about Bruno, you lose all credibility when he's playing well and you don't want to say it. Equally, everyone who wants to gaslight people and say, oh, stop calling Bruno shit, he wasn't shit. No, he was shit in the first half of the season. His teammate wrote it on the ball, and he proudly took that ball and put a picture on Instagram with it. So he knows that he wasn't good. He actually came after the City game, and I mentioned this yesterday, Terry, on the match reaction. He admitted after the City game when we won, he said, I question the team, mainly myself, why I don't do more performances like this, because I've been poor for quite a while. He's like, I haven't had a good game like this for a while. There you go.
Yeah.
Says, and you were, and I forgot what the second one says. I could barely read it.
How much did you pay the ref?
Oh, how much did you pay the ref to get these penalties? It's so.
You zoomed in to read that, yeah?
I didn't zoom in to read that. They just put it out there.
Yeah, do you know what? Do you know what's really interesting though as well? I think people zoomed in. I think it's listen. You're spot on, Staffy. Sorry to interject. You're spot on.
No, go ahead.
He needs to be criticized when he plays badly, and it's right to do that. I think we all at times in a match reaction can overreact and say. I saw someone sent this to me. Oh, you should feature this on Fan Channel Review, and it was Craig from the Anfield Agenda. We haven't featured it, where he was talking about. This was in sort of December 2023, where he said, "Get rid of Mo Salah now. He's over the hill. He's never going to get back to the peak of his powers. Let's move on." And we all say these things sometimes when you watch someone in bad form. But equally, the majority of us address it when we know we're wrong and say, I shouldn't have said he had to go, but I was right to call out his poor form. Spot on. My problem is the Man United fans that took that poor form, and so the opposite side of what you're saying, and went with, you know, all that praise he got for 4 years, told you it was all bullshit. This last 3 months is proof the last 4 years was nonsense. And you see it right this season with Foden. People want to undo everything that's come before this season because of a bad campaign. You're seeing it right now with Cole Palmer. The last 18 months, people are trying to write that off because he's hit the first little crisis of his career, which is very, very normal. The toxicity levels of wanting to be right is amazing. And equally, what this ball also shows, though, for me, and I'd love to talk to Roy Keane about it. Doesn't this show that the dressing room loves him? That they feel comfortable to write those jokes and have that fun with him on a ball, that ball will sit in his trophy cabinet at home for the rest of his life. And people are writing that, and it's funny. You've all been at work. People have wrote on a t-shirt or a card before you've left. And you will know the guys you get on with well at work will write a bit of bullshit in there. I can't believe you got the promotion, you shit, or something, right? Your friends do that at work. I think this also shows that the dressing room love and respects him. So the idea that, oh, the way he moans on the pitch, it means the squad must hate him, that's dead and buried for me as well. That can just be dropped as a talking point now. Equally, I think you're bang on, Staffy. When he's poor, let's call it out. But equally, when he's poor, that doesn't mean everything that's good that's come before should be written off. And I think you're right. But I don't know if it is toxicity, but it's about people, for me, just always wanting to be right and not having the guts and being kind of cowards, really, in not being able to say, do you know what? I overspoke there, or I misspoke. I shouldn't have said he has to be sold. Or do you know what? It's not really my cup of tea. But objectively speaking, it's almost 100 goals for Man United. He has the most goals and assists ever by any player in the history of the UEFA and Europa League. He's one of the best. He's in the top 4 goal scoring midfielders in the history of our football club. Objectively speaking, I'm just wrong. I can't keep saying he's a bad football player. I just wish that people could become more grown up and have those conversations.
Terry. And I've said that for years. My criticism of Bruno, and by the way, this good form still hasn't changed any of my opinion on Bruno, because I always knew that Bruno could put up GA. That was never my issue with him.
Yeah,
my issue with Bruno is always going to be, when we're a very good team, how far does he take us when he's our best player? And I look at Bruno, and I mean this in the most respectful way. I feel like you can only get so far when Bruno is your best player. Not when you're a shit team right now. Obviously, this team is shit, so I have a lot more to address other than Bruno. But when we were a decent team and we had like a front three that was bagging goals, and Rashford, Martial, and Greenwood, we had a midfield of Pogba and Fred and Matic. When we were actually a decent team, that's when my criticism was more, because I felt like we can never take that next step to compete with Man City at that time. Whereas, like, yeah, Bruno's going to make us that. I always feel like your ceiling is limited when Bruno's your best player on a good team. But that's a topic in a different day. But when I'm contending for leagues, I'll talk about that. I can't talk about that now. I
agree with you. I agree with you. If Bruno's your best player, we're probably not winning a league title. But I never took that out on Bruno. I viewed that as, well, the club should be Bruno I think Bruno can play for all the top teams in the world right now, whether he starts in all the teams or he's a regular feature, so always coming on off the bench as an example. I think he gets into Man City squad, Liverpool squad, Real Madrid. So I think he plays for those teams. I think he gets into most of them. But I also agree you can find midfielders that are better, players that are better, or that have a different skill set that also complement us. A lot of the conversations surrounding Man United in the last 5, 6, 7 years have been so basic, so one-track minded, so shallow as a worm's grave. It's just been player A is not better than player B. If you think that, you don't know ball. I've just got to a point where it's boring. Of course, we need more than Bruno Fernandes to win a league title. It's a team sport. But the idea that Bruno Fernandes has ever been the biggest problem at the club, I just feel like that debate's over now for me. I think
what it is for me, right? Obviously, looking at it objectively and looking at it from an outside point of view as well. I know Bruno was putting up mad numbers when he came to United. And there was a reason why this guy was being called Fernandes, bro, right? Because if you remember, when he was performing, when he was playing over 90 minutes, his performances weren't that great. Like, I used to watch him and think his decision-making is poor. There's times where he can just pop it off and you know, crash the box a little bit late. You know what I mean? Instead of just going for the wonder ball every single time. That there was people that were, you know, comparing him to KDB when he first came and that. And I'm like, I know the numbers are crazy right now, but when I'm watching him, I'm sorry, bro. KDB is levels above this guy.
No, he's similar to Dunn, and it's going to upset a lot of people. And you probably know, without me saying the name, who he's similar to. Say it.
You say it.
No. Come on. Because I don't want people to think like, this is pre-play. You know who I'm talking about. GA without performances.
Yeah, bro. That's the biggest thing with me with I was about to even say his name just then.
Yeah, I knew you were going to think this thing. Mo Salah, bro.
But what it is, Mo Salah
in the midfield.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I thought you were going to say Frank Lampard. I thought you were saying Frank Lampard.
No, I'm talking about like current players. Lampard, he was a little bit better than that.
Lampard used to perform. So people that have always had this take, right? I think it's fair, innit? Fair enough to say, listen, Bruno gets the GA, but I need more from him in terms of the performances. I feel like there's been many games where he's been more of a negative instead of being a positive. I know there's certain games he might have won you the game, but when you break it down, the amount of times he's lost the ball, the amount of times he can play the easier pass and he chooses to go for the wonder ball that's going to be on compilations, right? All of these things, I take it into consideration when I'm analyzing the player, right? And for me, I wouldn't want a Bruno starting in my 11. I'll be real. I don't mind him as a squad player. I think he's someone that...
He can't be your best player. If he's your Robin, not your Batman, you get away with it. Because what you just said is actually spot on. There was a moment yesterday in the first half, because that's why I said I don't think he played good in the first half. We got a free kick right after the halfway line. It wasn't that far off the halfway line. And instead of crossing it into the 18, he kind of saw the goalkeeper was off his line a little bit. So he tried to like catch him off. But the ball was about 30 yards off goal. So it looked horrible. And they put the camera on Ruben. Ruben was just, he looked so disgusted. He was like, what was that? These are the things that you don't get away with sometimes when you're competing for the biggest trophies. Not that moment, but that mentality. Because I'll tell you what, the reason we got away with doing that against Sociedad, because we were much better than Sociedad. It took us a matter of seconds to always win the ball back from Sociedad. If you're playing a prime Man City at the time, and you do that, you know you're not getting the ball for another 5 minutes. And then you look at it and you're like, this is why we can't be too wasteful against a team like this. If we're playing a PSG as an example for what they've been doing this season, and we're in that level of competition, if we're playing a Barcelona, you can't get away with certain things like that. This is why I'm always going to go back and say Bruno is not a bad player technically. When it comes to technical ability, he could shoot, he could pass, he can do a lot of things. It's his decision making that's always pissed me off.
So I understand that though, boys. The problem, the only problem I have with your analysis is that you're not comparing the team he's in with. When you're comparing him against KDB, you're not comparing him against the team that he is in as an example. So yes, that free kick he tried last night, it went horribly. But I've seen David Beckham try things from free kicks for Man United and it not work out as an example. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, brilliant player for Chelsea. I remember 2 games running, he did the same free kick. He tried doing this thing on the outside of his foot and it ended up going out for a throw. The swerve was so mad. And I just remember it was a vivid memory I have of watching these free kicks and just laughing. He tried it 2 weeks running, but nobody really got it in because he was a consistent goal scorer and there was a decent Chelsea team around him. I think that Bruno Fernandes has also been a victim of how poor the squad building has been at Manchester United because he, by and large, has been our best player. And the drop-off between him and lots of these fellow midfielders in the last 5 years has been so vast. His mistakes and his misses and his poor decisions get hyper-focused on. If Bruno was playing in a vastly superior team, his mistakes would be covered up. If we had a side that invariably won the ball back whenever we lost it, we wouldn't be as annoyed about losing the ball. But because we were losing the ball a lot under Ten Hag and under Ollie, and we didn't have a great defensive structure, and we'd often concede chances or goals, it was fuck you, Bruno, for losing the ball. When actually, when you look, factually speaking, him, KDB, and Trent, who in Bruno's time in the Premier League have been the 3 biggest creators, all typically lose the ball about the same amount of time trying to create chances as each other. The difference was the quality of the team surrounding Trent and KDB covered up for those deficiencies in their game. And that, for me, is where I feel a little sorry for Bruno, is that his flaws, which all players have, are being highlighted more. Pogba went through this at Man United. Pogba didn't have a great team around him. So, he can't do what this midfielder does. Well, that's a defensive midfield player. You know, he's not Kante. Of course he can't do what Kante does. Yeah, but why doesn't he attack more and do this? Well, he isn't afforded the ability to just be on the left and attack because he has to come back and play
DM. Go back a little bit. What did you say? He's not Kante, right? I hope people. Exactly, bro. Yeah, I hope people that keep that energy when it comes to Enzo Fernandez, when they like to judge him off the ball as if he's meant to be a destroyer, right? I say this all the time, bro. You lot talk about Enzo as if he's supposed to be winning the ball back like Caicedo. He's not a destroyer, but he's not useless.
And that's fair. And for me, it's very much a case of. We do this all the time. We don't have a great... Jesse Lingard went through it. He's just nowhere near the standard. Jesse Lingard would have been a very respected squad player in Fergie's pomp. If he was used like a John O'Shea, used like a Darren Fletcher, he would have been fine. The problem is the quality of our squad dropped and we're like, right, Jesse Lingard's a starter now. And he wasn't as good as what we got used to for 30 years almost as starting players at Man United. So we took it out on him. And I never saw it that way. I viewed it as, hang on, we've got to buy better rather than take it. Lingard can't be better than he is. He's playing at his optimum best. Bruno can't be better than he is. They can be coached in little areas. What we need is to build a better, more balanced squad and I think Amorim said it himself last night. He's not adapting his system, but he's working out and learning the best role in his system for the right players. And I feel the last 2 or 3 games, we've started to see more of a coming together of this system. A long way to go. Nobody is getting carried away. But he said it about Casemiro. I'm learning the way to get the best out of him and essentially for the system to protect his flaws. And it's starting to come together. And that's what's really important. We haven't done that enough at Man United in the last 12 years. We have just, that guy ain't got any pace. It's okay. We'll leave him out there isolated on the wing to get striped. It's stupid. And I think for me, I want to try and move away from purely scapegoating individual players and looking at this more. You know, saw Dorgu last night. If that was Maz out there on the wing, he couldn't do what Dorgu did. If Maz had to play there, everyone would go, the system doesn't work. Well, no, it's because you don't have Dorgu out there being able to do what he does. And that's the thing for me. I get the criticism, and I'm not saying players shouldn't be criticized, but I think sometimes we go so far over the top by even misprofiling them, but also not looking at the other underlying issues surrounding them in the team. And as soon as you start winning games, as soon as you start playing well, those players still make the same mistakes, but suddenly nobody seems to care, if that makes sense. And Liverpool went through it with Firmino. No Liverpool fan cared that he wasn't a prolific goal scorer until goals started drying up around the rest of the team. And then suddenly, well, why don't Firmino score goals? Well, that's not really his job. That's not what he's great at. It's now the others are misfiring. Suddenly you've got a problem with a player that's never been a prolific goal scorer. That seems weird to me. So I do get the criticism. I was happy he did it. Are you seeing toxicity in the Chelsea fan base towards Cole Palmer? Because there seems to be a lot online.
Yeah, definitely, man. There's people going both ways at the minute. You know, I'm seeing a lot of people at the minute that didn't want Maresca to come to the club for various reasons. He's a championship manager. You know, even when we were winning games, bro, you didn't see these guys outside. They wasn't giving this guy no credit whatsoever. And all of a sudden, when the team started to fall off, you're seeing them coming out like hyenas, right? And you've got the same issue right now with Cole Palmer, where it's like Cole Palmer is playing like this because of Maresca. There's no blame whatsoever on the player. And I'm like, bro, how can you not have any balance whatsoever when I'm seeing Cole Palmer getting in similar positions as to what he was getting in last year, but he's not being clinical, right? We talk about decision-making with Bruno. Palmer's decision-making this season has been poor, right? And I've been telling you lot, even from the start of the season, yes, there's a few games where Palmer's been playing in the right half space in the first half. Second half, we come out, he's playing on the left. You know what I mean? Certain games, I think, against the bigger teams, he could have played on the right. So he has a little bit more space, right? But this season, he has been getting a lot of chances and he has not been clinical as what he was last year, right? Now you've got people saying it was Poch that gave him the freedom. No, it's Palmer himself who's not been clinical, right? Yesterday, he had 2 chances he should be burying, right? He doesn't score the goal, yeah? I know Nkuku's shit up top, but there's been so many games I'm seeing Nkuku running in behind. Palmer just ignores him, yeah? Against Arsenal, I remember Jackson was running through on goal. Palmer could have just slipped it through to him. He passes it to Neto, yeah? So people need to actually wake up and have a little bit of balance when they're analysing the game. Because even me, like, you don't know I didn't like Gallagher, right? But what I did say was Gallagher deserves a new contract after how he's been playing. And if it's up to me, I would use him as someone you bring off the bench, just like what Simeone is doing right now. You bring him off the bench to bring a little bit more energy, to see out some fires and whatnot. He might get you a goal like what he did the other day. He might create here and there. That's me being balanced as much as I don't like the player. There's so many people in this fan base that can't do that, Terry, right? They made up their mind about something. They lie about the player or the manager. They over-exaggerate things, right? All because of their agenda. You know what I'm saying? So everyone right now, these people that want Maresca out, Cole Palmer's not been playing that well. It's all on Maresca. I don't look at it like that, bro. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, bro. Palmer, for me, it's about 70% Palmer's fault, about 30% Maresca, right? He's been getting in many, many similar situations as to last season. But him himself, he needs to look at himself and improve quickly as well, bruv. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but this is what it is at the end of the day, Don. Obviously, I didn't watch the Chelsea game yesterday because United were playing at the same time. But it's you've mentioned it. It's been a few games now where Palmer just hasn't been himself. And they used to just say he stat pads against the smaller teams. He's not even doing this right now. The issue is that at the end of the day, it's always the easiest analysis, which is the lazy analysis, as I like to call it. And Cole Palmer, because of the first season that he had so much love from the fans that though it's always going to be easier now to scapegoat the manager versus the player. But I've watched enough Chelsea games this season where I had conversations with you and I'm like, you know what? Sometimes I think Maresca is not utilizing the players to their best ability. But when you're saying the player has been in similar positions for where he was last season, where he was getting all these goals and assists, and you look at him this season and he's in similar situations, just making the wrong decisions. And to be fair, I've watched enough Chelsea games where I'm like, how the hell did Palmer miss that? How did he not hit the target? How did he overhit that pass? How did he underhit that pass? It leaves me with this question, though. Where do you go when Palmer is not really performing at his best? Because I don't see a lot of solutions for you right now. I'm hearing that you guys want to send Sancho back to us. You might even pay a penalty for that. You're going to sign Quenda for apparently I'm hearing 50 million. Where I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't know what kind of trafficking you're doing in Chelsea, but you didn't need another 18-year-old winger in the squad right now. Where do you go from here? That's the question that I have.
Bro, listen, Maresca could have been braver. You know, I know Palmer's our best player, right? But for me, there's been many games where he could have brought on João Felix. I know João Felix isn't everyone's cup of tea, but you trust your bench, bro, and you let them do something different. You know, Cole Palmer trying to play him through this confidence, it hasn't really helped him. And it hasn't helped the squad because he saw Felix. He's not happy. He's gone AC Milan. We've weakened the squad. That's someone that could come on and done something different. You know, Dewsbury Hall, he hasn't really had many opportunities to do much, right? For me, his confidence has been on the floor. We spoke about him last week. If you watch his performance yesterday in the second half, after he
scored a very good goal. I saw that. Who was that? I saw the highlight. I couldn't believe it was him.
Bro, it was him. And they're the similar sort of things I was seeing him doing at Leicester. Because at Leicester, he was the main man and he had a lot of confidence. At Chelsea, he's come here and he's scared. Like I said to you last week, he's been scared to take risks. After he scored that goal yesterday, he was so good on the ball, bro. I'm seeing him trying to create for people. He left the game with like 3 key passes. That's another player that you could have been bringing off the bench to help you out a little bit. And it's not like Maresca don't know this guy. He left with 26 GA last year, bro. Yeah? Don't tell me it's the championship because go bring me all those midfielders that got 26 GA last year in the championship, bro. Right? So it's a Maresca problem. It's a Palmer problem. It's a squad building problem. There's multiple factors here. But anyone that's just blaming this bad form Palmer's on Maresca, you're delusional, bro. And you've got an agenda solely on Maresca.
What I think is interesting about this, and maybe it's younger football fans and they don't remember this, but young players go through what Palmer's suffering with regularly. And it's not even anything. He can work on it, but he has to work. It's like a puzzle. And people have worked out a lot of his puzzles. Okay, well, and I'm making this up here as in what they may be saying, but it will be, okay, well, we know that the tacticians will watch him, the coaches will watch him of other teams and go, well, look, he invariably, when he takes his first touch, look, 80% of the time he goes to his left. You know, when he feints to his right, 9 times out of 10, he'll then move the ball to the left as an example. They'll watch and study his game. And then the defenders and the midfielders that are up against him are taught and trained for what he's going to do in match preparation. And over a period of time, they'll work out how to counter him. That's where good to very good players become great players, when they then learn how to circumvent that and they become different and they evolve and they change. But that takes game time. And that doesn't matter whether you're talking about a football player, that may be a tennis player, that may be a boxer, an MMA fighter. There comes a point where you kind of go up a level or people suss you out a little bit. And I saw it last week. A lot of people think Alex Pereira won in the UFC, but actually he was up against a fighter that put a lot more pressure on him and tried to take him down. And it stopped him being able to do what he was better at because he's normally the aggressor. So he'll go away from that and learn. And maybe what he'll now do is have more training and more coaching with people being aggressors against him so he can hone in and change part of his technique or change a few little bits so that he becomes an even better fighter. And I just think it's not about Maresca's killing him or Palmer was a fraud all along. It's more likely to be somewhere near the middle where maybe there's a bit of the system and the team's out of form. That's hurting him. He's young and impressionable and he's going for a bit of a bad period. But also your opponents will do everything they can to work out how to stop you. And I've seen loads of players go through this. Bale, when he first started playing well in the Prem, when he had that little period, he then went through a little sort of 3 or 4 month place where he weren't scoring and assisting at the same level because people worked out what he was going to do. He then went to another level by coming even better and confusing the defenders even more. And then suddenly it's like, hang on, we don't know whether he's going to go to the left or the right. We don't know whether he's going to feint this way, feint that way. And you become even harder to predict. And it's just part and parcel of the growth of a player. But as I think a lot of people, it's just, people want to pick something. Maresca's the problem, or the players are fraud. They say that day one, they stick to it, and they never change. And he could be great again now for another year, 2 years, Palmer. Then have a bad 2 months, and you'll hear the same people go, told you he was shit. Remember 2 years ago when he had that bad month, that bad 2 months? I told you he was shit. And that's been 2 years. He's crap.
That's what it is, man.
It happens every single time.
Bro, I love Palmer, innit? I love Palmer, but these people are just really piss me off, bro. Like usually now, I just find myself on Twitter after games. I put my little review after games, and I just go away. I close the app, and I go get on with my life and go do what I need to do outside of football, right? Because at the minute, you've got people putting Palmer on a mad pedestal as if he's bigger than Chelsea, yeah? Oh, he's going to leave next season. Bro, first of all, he's tied down on a death row contract. he ain't going anywhere, right? Unless you want to put 150 million down on the table, he ain't going anywhere. And him himself, he needs to improve because he's not being a team player at the minute. It's like he's still trying to be that main man. Similar sort of things as what Bruno does. This year he's got 20 G8, fantastic, bro, brilliant, right? Should have even more if the likes of Jackson could finish, yeah. But him himself could have even more if he had better decision making, yeah. He needs to stop thinking everything's got to go through him. I don't want to be Cole Palmer FC because we have to be able to win games with or without him, yeah. What happens if Palmer gets injured? Now it's, oh shit, we don't know what to do now because everything goes through Palmer. What happens if Palmer's in bad form like this and guys like Enzo Caicedo, they don't know what to do, yeah. The good thing is, other people have been stepping up, even though Palmer is our best player. Other people have been stepping up. Enzo Fernandes has been brilliant. Caicedo has been brilliant. Yeah. You know, that's actually what's been keeping our team together. It's our midfield, funny enough. Yeah. Enzo and Caicedo should still be in a title race because they've been brilliant, bro. You know what I'm saying? So please, people, stop trying to make Palmer feel like he's bigger than Chelsea because he's not. And this is someone that you guys know how much I like Palmer. You know what I mean? But it's getting ridiculous now, bro. It's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, you've got to criticize players when they're in a bad place. You just don't need to go over the top. And equally, taking it all out on the manager is crazy because there's been, even last night, he had chances to score goals and he didn't score. That's not that's where I defend all. That's where I defend all managers. You know, it's if players are missing. Like when we played Sociedad last week and Rasmus is clean through and Delo doesn't pass in the ball, I'm just not blaming the coach for that. I can't do it. I can't blame the manager for Delo not making that pass. I can't. For me, because you could tell by the manager's reaction, like, what you're doing, that isn't part of the plan as an example. So, yeah, it's and there's no way Maresca's coaching. Listen, I know there's better coaches than others, but there's no way they're not doing enough shooting and passing drills for Palmer. Oh. He's just going through a bad period right now.
And decision making, as much as people like to think so, it's one of the hardest things to teach a player because decision making is muscle memory, it is instinct. Players get in a situation. There's players, the first thing they want to do is pass. There's players, the first thing they want to do is shoot. The first thing they want to do is dribble. You can't coach sometimes these things into players, especially at an old age. If you're coaching a 12-year-old or an 11-year-old at a very young stage of football, yeah, you can teach kids a lot of things still.
Yeah.
But when you make it to senior football, what is a manager meant to do when most of your decisions are leading to turnovers and stuff like that? And people don't want to see that.
I hear that. And I think as well, look, one thing Palmer was brilliant at is, I'll explain it in the most simple way I can. He used to shoot a lot before anybody expected him to, if that makes sense. So defenders, goalkeepers aren't set, but there becomes a time when you get used to that. And even, listen, I'm not someone that thinks you should compare real football to FIFA, but the concept is the same on that. You've all played FIFA online against someone and they start, fucking, I scored 2 goals in the first couple of minutes. And then you get used to there might be someone that plays 1-2s and then you realize all I'm going to do now is when he plays that ball into his striker and then lays it off for a 1-2 for a through ball, I'm just going to have a defender run alongside him and I'll cut the ball out every time. I think when you're playing most sports, most games, computer games, ball games, as soon as you can work someone's strategy out, you can work someone's approach out. The real great players then learn how to vary things more, and they become absolutely elite at the highest level. And Palmer isn't going through anything that I didn't see Rooney, that I didn't see Ronaldo, that I didn't see Messi go through. And I picked that out because in my kind of sort of late teens and in my adulthood, those were the three of the greatest players, like attackers that played in that time. They've all been through this. So for those greats to go through it, to expect Palmer not to, is fucking stupidity.
Exactly. And that's what it is for me. Like, I know Palmer will be back. You know, this is part of his journey, man. It's the first time in his career where he's actually had, you know, game time week after week. He's the main man. He's the face of, for me, arguably the Prem, bro. You know what I mean? I see this guy everywhere when it comes to the Prem, right? Especially last season. Arguably, that's what I said, arguably, right?
Yeah.
But there's still things that we need to do to help him. You know, he's had over 30 chances created, not a single goal converted from that. Yeah. You know, he's still sitting on 20 GA and he hasn't even been amazing. And that's a sign of a good player. You know, last season I was talking about Saka. You know, GNA is putting up numbers, but he wasn't performing well. This year, it's been the complete opposite. He was putting up numbers and he was playing well. That's what I expect from Palmer because that's what he was doing last season, right? So, again, get over it, innit? People that think it's going to fall off now, it's not going to happen. Bro. He's too good for that. He'll be back. He'll be back.
I hear that. A few super chats here. First one says, and member chats, Don has been brainwashed by a championship manager. 1 billion spent. You need to be doing better.
How have I been brainwashed when I've literally been criticizing this guy for weeks? People just say things, brainwashed, deluded, like it's all these buzzwords, man. You know what I mean? But anyway, big up yourself.
This here says, hi Staffy, do you feel Bruno would perform better if he was playing at Liverpool, Arsenal or City? I think he would do great at Liverpool.
Not City this year. That's the last thing they need because that midfield is just horrible right now. So the last thing they want is someone who wastes the ball even more. I think actually I have maybe it's an unpopular take. I'm hearing everyone debating Odegaard and Bruno. You can actually play both of them on the same pitch together. And I generally believe if they have Bruno in this midfield right now, playing next to Odegaard, they probably win the league.
Yeah, if you had Odegaard in the kind of 8 role, Rice as the DM, and Bruno as their attacking midfield player, Arsenal would go to a different level, in my personal opinion. They'd have a midfielder that could score goals. The amount of goal-scoring opportunities Odegaard gets and misses, I think Bruno would be lapping that up as an example. The creativity would be there as well.
You know what I tell you? I feel like a lot of people this week exposed themselves as fans to me like I've never seen before. Because when I was listening to everyone who's arguing Bruno and Odegaard are basically polar opposites. If you want a midfielder who's a little bit creative, but he's more focused on dribbling and keeping the ball tidy and neat and moving it around, you go for Odegaard. If you want someone who maybe might look ugly, but he will give you these moments and he will give you the GA that gets you across the line, you go for Bruno. You have everyone now in Arsenal saying, I'd rather have Bruno than Odegaard. And you have a lot of United fans still saying, I'd rather have Odegaard than Bruno. It's just like both of them don't. Bro, everyone thinks the grass is greener somewhere else. Well, yeah, I mean, swear to God, if this Arsenal team has Bruno, you would not be hearing them talking about Odegaard.
They're doing exactly what we were talking about earlier. It's this either or either. They're very different types of midfield players. They're very, very, we all like different types of music. Depending on if I'm having a chilled night in with a few glasses of wine and nice dinner, I'm not putting on garage music like I'm going out to a nightclub. Do you know what I'm saying? If I'm out with the boys and we're getting ready to go out, we're putting something upbeat on that's getting us in the mood. I'm not listening to some slow jams. Like you're gonna mix it up. You're gonna change it a little bit. And I don't understand why that's so hard for football fans to digest. English Talent FC here says Bruno carries a team. Paul Scholes needed a team.
I told you from the beginning, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Thank God he exposed
himself. From time he's got Mount in his picture, bro. What's going on there, man? Actually, that was at Chelsea. Actually, that was a good season.
This is what I find very strange about this guy. He's picked Man United to be the team he supports, but he hates every element of the club that's English, which by definition means you should hate the football club. Because the last time I checked, Manchester is part of England. It's just
you know what's funny here? That picture of Mount he has is not even in a United jersey. Is in Chelsea.
That's what I was thinking. Is he a Chelsea fan, bro?
I love the fact that people from all around the world support English teams, and everybody's welcome to. But I never get why someone that has a genuine disdain for everything English would choose to pick an English team to support. Pick a team from a country that plays football that you like. That might make it easier for you for that club to be palatable for you. Because I will say this: every English club is going to have a big contingent of English players, fans, staff, whatever it may be, right? It's just the way it is. It's very strange.
The worst is when they say we're being too much Brexit. I hate when people say that. I hate it. I just don't understand it. Where do you think all our clubs, when you're a top 6 team, where do you think we're going to get all of our young talent from for free? From the youth that live in England because maybe we're an English team? Or am I going to go, conquer Brazil and just steal all their kids and put them in our academies and be like, hey, you're the future? What is this?
Yeah, it's just, and also we can't even, what people don't realize is it's very difficult because of the law and immigration laws. It's very hard to get kids from outside. Even now we're outside the EU as well. It's very hard to get young kids that are 10, 11, 12, 13 as part of your academy because they've got to come with parents and you can't always get them visas and stuff. It's just...
Hey, look what PSG did. PSG, over the last 2 years, did the best rebuild I've seen in a while. They got got rid of so many foreign talent, especially in their older ages, mainly the South Americans, and they just went and bought all the young French talent in the league. And now you look at this team after they did what they did, especially against Liverpool. This is such a young French team. Desiree Doué today called up to the French team. Desiree Doué was like 19.
If you look at most teams over the last 30, 40 years, there has been either in the first 11, if you go through Spain, go through Germany, you go through Italy, England, you go through the first 11. Of course, you have foreign imports, and probably a little bit more in the Premier League than those other leagues. But there is always a very strong contingent of homegrown talent. I don't understand why it triggers people so much. It's very strange to me. It's very weird to me. It's a little bit just strange. And again, if you don't like England, I'm not going to be. It doesn't offend me or upset me. But don't pick English football to be the sport you follow. It's like, I don't know. It's like people that say they hate America, but they choose to watch American films, listen to American music, watch American sports, drive American cars, go on holiday to America, but consistently slag it off. I just look at it and think, if it's that bad, just cut out everything American as best you can, right? As best you can. It's just a very strange approach to the world.
And that's how I feel about a lot of Chelsea fans, bro, because all I see them doing these days is just not supporting the team, bro. It's like they want the team to fail. You know, like me, like obviously I came to you guys the other week. I said, bro, I'm not confident about getting top 4 now that we've literally got no striker. I was not confident that Maresca will try problem solve by even playing Neto up top. But I'm still gonna support the team. I'm still gonna hope that my team wins the game. You know what I mean? But these guys, bro, it's like they just want the team to fail because they want Maresca out of it. I want. If I don't like something, Terry, I want you to prove me wrong, right? I want you to prove me wrong. I wanted Gallagher to prove me wrong, and it did for large parts of the season. And I held my hands up. You know what I'm saying? But there's so many people that can't do that, bro. Yeah, it's like they hate everything about this club, hate everything about the club, bro. You might as well not be a Chelsea fan then. They've forgotten what supporting actually means. Yeah, I'm not saying just have blind faith and back everything that we do. No one's saying that, bro. You can be angry in that, but when it comes to match days, bro, support your fucking team, bro. You know what I mean?
I hear you on that. And Twisted, it is true. I love the people that watch me that also don't like me. They help feed my kids, and they keep me entertained. Homegrown in the Premier League means registered with the FA for 3 seasons before their 21st birthday. No, we understand it doesn't mean that, but what Staffy's referring to, and I didn't think this needed to be explained, Lewis, is that the vast majority of players that will fit that category that come from academies in England, by and large, will be English. The same as a lot of, if you go through most Spanish, German, Italian, Brazilian, whatever nationality you go to and you look at their academies, I'm going to hazard a guess that anywhere between 60 to 80% of all the academies in all those countries are predominantly from the nation that they're in. Predominantly. You will get the examples where they're not, and you'll get if there's sort of big connections between countries historically, the governments are connected, if it's easy to get passports and etc. And I'm sure different countries have different relationships like that. You may have an increase from particular regions, but by and large, most academies are full of it. Now you've got like Chido Obi at Man United. I thought he was English. Turns out he's not. I didn't realize he's Danish, I think. So I just
Nigerian, yeah.
Yeah, I assume so. He's got Danish nationality. So, but there we go. I haven't actually heard him speak yet. I've got a feeling that he sounds like a Londoner, though. I've just got a feeling he sounds like a Londoner. This is just my feeling, because I had a friend like that at school. Who?
Yeah, who?
Chido.
Okay.
Yeah. I reckon he sounds like a Londoner. That's my personal opinion.
Remember, like Bellerin Spanish, but he lived in London for so much.
First time I heard Bellerin speak, I was like, I didn't. You never know with someone's surname at all. But I was like, you never can be sure. And I heard him talk, and I just thought he was English. But there's another player. The first time I heard him talk,
Isak. You mean Isak?
Isak as well.
I heard him talk, and I went, hang on, I thought he was Swedish. And then
He sounds like Mandem. He sounded
like a London boy. And I was like, is he? I got a bit excited. I was like, is he English? No, he's not.
Even like Christensen, Ake, because obviously they joined Chelsea at what?
Yeah, young.
16 young, so they would have been around that. So yeah, some of these guys, you can hear the twang a little bit, but it's like more English than anything.
Yeah, no, I hear that. And it also depends when you move to the UK, if that makes sense. Like it's one of my good friends, Shahin, he's a Turkish lad I went to school with. I remember he joined when we were like year 5 at school. And I remember he joined our class and he didn't speak a word of English. And and just over time, he obviously learned because he was at school, learning with the rest of us. Now, when you hear him talk, he is the most Cockney man in the whole world. He sounds like he's like, oh, mate, oh, brother. It's just great. And I always think back to year 5. What are you in year 5? You're like 9 going on 10. Like didn't speak a word of English. Moved to the UK from Turkey, and now he probably speaks. He's got a thicker, deeper Cockney accent than I've got by a long way. So, yeah, no, I like stuff like that. Isak has a Swedish accent. When I heard him talk, he sounded pure London, bruv. He sounded like a Londoner when I heard him talk.
Even have you heard what's his name? My man at Villa, the midfielder, man. What's his name? What's my man's name, bro? Onana.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've
yeah.
heard Onana, but
yeah.
I don't speak.
When they got his name wrong, he was like, "That's not even my name, bro." And I was like,
that's not even my name.
Yeah, no, I loved it. This we'll come to that in a minute. Well, what you'll all forget is that this Man United team played on instinct yesterday rather than deliberating on the ball like Ten Hag used to tell them to do. Bruno has and always will thrive in a quick tempo game.
I think the game just suited us.
Oh.
I think people are overdoing this game better way. I'm not taking too much out of it. Like I'm sorry to shit on a lot of people's parades. There's not a lot that we're gonna take in this game because we're not gonna play a lot of teams that are less physical. That we're a very, very weak team, and we actually found a team that was weaker than us. Like they had no muscle in their team whatsoever. We will still face the same issues when we face teams with more P&P. Bruno won't be afforded so much time on the ball. Casemiro won't be afforded so much time on the ball. We're not going to pin back a team. Yesterday was the first time in a while that every time we lost the ball, I counted up to like 20 seconds maybe, and we had the ball back. It was so easy to win the ball back yesterday. That's why most people thrived. But come the Prem, I'm sorry, we're not really going to play like that.
And the thing is, I had your game on my iPad on the side, right? And I looked over just before Bruno scored. Man had the whole world, but it's like Moses was helping it. I see him in his face. I see him in his face and just bang it in the corner.
Bro, they kept doing the same pass. It would be Bruno running in behind, and Casemiro just plays that one pass to him. And I even tweeted about that. I put the Kobe and Shaq video, and I was like, this is our double pivot today. Because all they were doing just throwing lobs to each other. And I'm like, bro, I haven't seen this happen so much in one game in a while. That just shows you how poor Sociedad were physically.
Yeah,
I agree with not getting carried away. I'm the same though when we lose games. I'm not getting carried away yet. For me, I think it's about keeping sort of feet firmly on the ground. This here says, apparently I hate England, who wanted Solanke, Tony. The fact you wanted Longstaff and you rate Longstaff and McTominay, but you also just slagged off Scholes. I just don't believe in what you're saying, right? It don't compute. All I'm going by English Talent FC is that up until this tweet, the super chat, every other super chat you have sent in has always slagged off English players, English media bias, English this, English that. And it comes across very, very bigoted towards England. But I'll take this on board. I'll take your word for it. And
I'll
look
forward very toxic super chats in general.
I'll look for, but now I'll look forward to a lot more positivity towards other English people and things that you like.
He's always angry, bro. Like you're laughing, Don. He's just always angry. Like English Talent FC. I'm sure. Thank you for the super chat. I'm sure Terry appreciates it. You're not the main character. You gotta give it up, honestly. Like I'm telling you right now, English Talent FC, give it up. Not every comment has to be malicious, has to be angry, has to be toxic. Like I don't think this guy's ever said anything good. Like he's never contributed with one positive super chat about anything, not just United, just in general.
Even when I think he's nice, it's like after they leave, he'll say, "Oh, I love this player. He's amazing. Fuck you for letting him go." But you never just hear it. I love the super chat. What you never hear is, do you know what, guys? We played well last night. Big up to Ruben Amorim. I'm in a good mood. There's a donation. There's always a what you'll get is
of Amorim PR
underbelly factor.
He said you're doing Amorim PR. And then now, I said we've been good for about 3-4 games now in terms of performances. Hasn't said anything about it. I said Amorim, you know what's funny?
I love him.
He thinks Amorim left all the large content creators in the world, and he came to poor little Staffy with this small-ass platform, and he said, "I need PR, Staffy, help me. I'm gonna hire you for incentives, and you please give me PR." As if anyone knows me, bro.
Well, Staffy's had two viral tweets recently, but that's only because I retweeted them. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, you know what's better? No, hold on. You know what's better? You just reminded me. Last game against Arsenal, I tweeted about how we're using Casemiro in the press. Okay, so when Højlund missed that chance, he didn't miss it. He didn't shoot it. But that happened because Casemiro followed his man from the halfway line all the way up. So we didn't start with a high press. He just knew when to stick with the press or not. So we do this little 50-50 press where we don't overcommit unless you see a good opportunity. So I said, I like how I saw Casemiro commit to the press there that almost caused a goal from basically leading to an error leading to goal. The amount of people in the comments that told me to shut the fuck up and I don't know what I'm talking about. It got some likes, don't get me wrong. It got like 7,000 likes. But the amount of people that told me I'm waffling and I need to shut up. Then Amorim comes out yesterday and he says, I've learned how to use Casemiro better in the press. And I was like, oh, look at him. He's finally learning. I told you the same thing for free last week.
Yeah.
No, from Amorim's mouth for you to believe me.
I hear you completely. I didn't. And by the way, Staffy don't come to me and ask me to retweet. If I see something I agree with, I'll often.
I only tell you to retweet like funny things. I'm like, yeah,
you did once. You said, "Oh, can you?" But you don't say retweet. You send me something and you ask.
Just send that. I assume you understand. Just retweet the shit.
Like, that one got like a lot. And then I think the person whose video, because I never upload a video myself, like when it's football, because you might get your channel taken. But if you like share video that someone else already posted, it doesn't impact you. And I think that person had it taken down for copyright, but it was good. The McTominay hate is forced. Do you know what it is, Josh? The McTominay hate is coupled in with what I said before. He was a good squad player for us. The problem is there was times where he was one of our best players and he wasn't of a good enough level. If we had 4 other midfielders that were of what we would consider to be the Man United class that we got used to for 25 years, and he was the backup to them, he would have been loved. He would have been respected as a good part of the squad. And that's the problem. It's that the perspective has changed. The point of view has changed, not so much individual players. I want to get on some other subject in a minute. We're going to run out of time, but big up, gents. I was just talking to a United fan at the gym. The Liverpool hate is mad. Also, Terry, people think that because they train a lot, they can eat a lot. It really doesn't mean that at all. Well, it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to lose weight, you've got to create a deficit. So you've got to consume less calories than you burn off. If you might be bulking, and if you're bulking and you want to put weight on, you want to put size on, you need to eat more of the right food. So, and I'm not an expert on it, but that's always what my coaches said.
Look at the last super chat, man. I can't believe this guy.
Amorim's latest comment on Mount is why I back him now.
He said, I love Mason Mount so much. I can't believe this. This guy he's not real. English FC is not real.
I've never seen this guy before.
By the way, I've already got respect for Amorim, what he's achieved in his career. But if he could get Mount back to these peak Chelsea days, even for a few months, I'll give him a lot of credit for that.
He's perfectly made for the system. He's just not going to stay fit.
He can't stay fit. He's made of biscuits. Don, I don't hate you, but I hate Chelsea. Your club stole Robin from us 20 years ago, and now Quenda. That was going to be the next subject very quickly. What do you boys make of the Quenda deal? It's going to be around 43 million euros, around 38 million, rising to 50 if the add-ons are achieved. He won't be joining Chelsea until the summer of 2026, so he'll stay for another year at Sporting Lisbon. He signed, it is an 8-year deal. It's 7 years with a 1-year extension that Chelsea can trigger, which means it's 8 years. It's an 8-year deal. But it is another kid that will come in at 18 years of age in, I don't know where you'll quite play him. Your system's different to what he's doing now currently at Sporting. But he'll either play in a kind of 10 role or one of your winger roles. Are you happy with this signing for 8 years start coming? Or do you feel that money should have gone towards, because a lot of Chelsea fans are saying that money should have gone towards a more experienced player?
I think people are overreacting. First of all, I was surprised because, I was we were all thinking he was going to go to United, right? We saw the bomber before Ornstein said United are discussing him internally and whatnot. Amorim, it made sense, the system that you're playing. I thought he was going there. So that's why this morning, I was surprised, bro. I said, yo, I haven't seen a single link anywhere. It reminded me of Neto in the summer because we didn't hear a single thing about Neto either. And all of a sudden, it got wrapped up. So him as a talent, I don't know much about him. Let me not act as if I've watched bare games because I literally haven't, right? Haven't seen a single game of this guy, so I need to do my research. Big up Staffy, do my research.
I swear to God, was the first thing I thought about yesterday. It was midnight. I was like, I wonder if Don is going to wake up tomorrow and the first thing he's going to do is, let me do my research on this player. That's the first thing I thought.
I need to do my research on Quenda because I don't go off of compilations. Compilations only show you the best bits of players. I like to watch, all actions, right? But from what I'm reading, from what I'm seeing about the guy, he's got a lot of appearances, bro, for a 17-year-old. He's been called up for Portugal again. He's got Champions League experience as well. By the time he joins Chelsea, bro, he would have played over 100 matches at 18, 19? That's valuable experience, bro. It's not obviously Prem experience, but it's still first-team football in comparison to getting someone like a Mudryk who literally had minimal experience in Ukraine. You know what I'm saying? So I think that he's going to be he's one that we're looking at as a top talent. But for me, the main thing, Terry, is in the summer, we still need to make sure that we're investing in the first team. Yeah, I told you from day one, I don't mind these sort of signings. These are the sort of signings I want Chelsea to be making for young players. But we have to make sure that we don't neglect the first team. That's when it becomes a problem. But when I'm seeing people overreacting online today, I'm like, bro, calm your tits, bro. Yeah, the summer hasn't even reached yet. We don't know what's going to happen. This surprised us out of nowhere. We don't know what they've got cooking, right? We know we need a striker. We know we need another centre-back. We know we need a Mudryk replacement because George is still young. He's still learning. We can't put all that pressure on him, right? So let's see what they do before we start saying, oh, you see another young kid. You know what I mean? The main problem you've got really is stockpiling, obviously, because we've got Esteval, you've got Quenda. I think he can play on the left as well. We don't really have any left wingers at the moment. And obviously you've got Madueke, you've got Neto. But I'll be real, Madueke, these sort of guys, I can see them getting sold for someone like a Quenda. I'll be honest with you, bro. You know what I'm saying? But I'm calm with it. As long as we bring in right players in the summer, I don't mind it at all.
I'm not surprised to see it. You know, Madueke, we know the club was looking at alternatives to him. You were looking at Garnacho. The fact the club's exploring. I read somewhere that the fine you could pay to Man United could be as high as £18 million for not going through the 25 million. And by the way, from a financial standpoint for Man United, that's not the end of the world, because if we take 18 million from you, we only have to sell him for like 7 million to make up the 25 million we would have got anyway. But maybe we get even more out of it. So I'm not surprised. I don't know about you, Staffy, though. I've been a little bit disappointed with Man United fans not understanding this. I've seen a lot of, it's a bad start for the summer already for Ineos. Have let the manager down. And I understand his disappointment, because I am. He looks a tremendous talent. He has the ability to go on to be a star. You never know how good these youngsters will become, but he looks brilliant, and I'm not going to change my mind because he's chosen to go to Chelsea. But there's two elements of this deal that Man United cannot do. Firstly, we don't give out 8-year contracts. And I understand a young player maybe being offered 50, 60, 80, 100 grand a week for 8 years is saying, wow, because he might bomb, right? In a year's time, we all might be looking at him going, what the fuck are Chelsea buying, right? You've done an 8-year deal with him, right? So we don't do 8-year deals. Chelsea do. And Man United fans will go mad if we offered an 8-year deal. The second element is this. Chelsea are in a position where they can offer this young man a year loan back to Sporting. He can stay. I assume he's Portuguese, so he can stay in his native land.
He's been called up again. He can
stay in his native land. He gets another year in an environment that's comfortable to him before moving on. Man United, anything we spend this summer that's significant, we need that player instantly. So Sporting have been told, look, we'll pay you what you want, but you get to keep him for a year. Man United can't offer Sporting that. So Sporting Lisbon,
they had the better package.
So the only way now for us to have stopped this deal would to have been to offer Sporting even more money. And again, I'm not going to be a hypocrite at this particular point or change my mind right now and say, well, I've been moaning for years that we overpay for players. And in the first significant summer signing for Amorim, let's overpay. For me, I think we have to start on the right foot, and that's try our very best to stay within the budgets that we've put in and pay for players what we think they are worth. I just think it's important for us to continue in that methodology as best that we can do. And Chelsea are in a position where they can offer a better package to the player and Sporting at this particular moment. So I'm gutted, but I'm not losing my mind, because maybe it's because I've been moaning about us doing bad business deals in terms of bad structure, overpaying, etc. for 12 years. I can't suddenly start moaning when we actually stick to our guns and operate in the correct way. So for me, I don't think it's right to today go, hang on, there's 50 million up front, no matter how good or bad he is. The player, and then, okay, look, there's 80 grand a week for the next 8 years. I don't want us to do that. I don't want us to operate in that way. So I can't. Yeah. I'm disappointed we're not getting him, but I'm not angry at the club personally.
Yeah, listen, I'm disappointed we're not getting him too, but by no means whatsoever am I angry at the club for doing it. First of all, Chelsea went in and they offered a better deal. They gave him probably better incentives. The fact that he's going to be there for 7 years plus 1, so 8 years essentially. Sporting get to keep him for 1 more year, so that's a better deal for them. Both clubs reach a better deal than we could have gotten. We were never going to compete with that. So fair enough. They negotiated a better deal and they got that. Now, when I look at Quenda, he's a good player, but For his position and for what we need in this team, you can't afford, in my opinion at least, you can't afford to get in another bidding war with another club to get this player for more than he's going to be worth. So we go in, we say, no, fuck off Chelsea, we're going to get him from you. We give 65 million as an example. You find yourself in another Lenny Euro situation. Now, do I think it was worth doing it for Lenny Euro? Probably. We're still going to find out, but probably. I look at Quenda, there is alternatives. So for what he brings to this team and what we have in this team, is it worth going into a bidding war with Chelsea and overpaying for Quenda to get him? I don't think so. You still have Tyler Dibbling in Southampton, who I'm a big fan of, and a lot of people like him, that you can potentially get for lower money, if not the same money as Quenda. So that feels like, okay, there was no loss there. We just got one of the options that we wanted. Now, is he the player that was going to get United anywhere like much better next season? I like him, but I don't look at him that way. We have depth in that position right now. I mean, Ahmad, when it comes back, I think that's going to be his position. We need another player that could play there until we decide what we're going to do with Dalot. I don't look at this position, and I think it's such an essential position for United where we all sit here and we're disappointed. If anything, I'm looking at this now and I'm like, all right, we missed out on what good talent. Let's go and try to actually put money in another young talent coming up, because there's a lot of young upcoming talent in Europe this season that everyone needs to start snatching, and we need to get at least one of them. I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know what? This is maybe a door that closed, but maybe I can go and invest in one of the 10s, because we're about to play Ryan Shirky next game in the Europa League. And I'm thinking, if I'm investing a lot of money in a position, I don't really look at Quenda for what he will do for this team and say, yeah, go overpay there. I'd rather go overpay as an example for Turkey, because Turkey is the future in French football. He's not even French, he's Algerian, but you know what I mean. So I don't think there's anything for United fans to be too disappointed on anyways. And one more thing before you go on. I'm looking at one positive thing from this. At least now, we don't have to deal with the, he only signs former players or Portuguese players. The nepotism claims are now gone. I don't want to hear that no more.
This is the element where I got a little frustrated when I looked on socials earlier. A lot of the same people who I saw for 2 years say, these are United fans, forget rivals, that they're meant to flip to whichever side is negative for Man United. The United fans I saw for 2-3 years go, the manager's talent ID is bad. He only shines his ex-players. Today saying, it's a terrible look that his ex-players are not signing for him. Hang on a fucking minute. That's the level of hypocrisy which I just can't abide by. Now, I don't think signing your ex-players is necessarily a bad thing. Ten Hag's issue was he was buying ex-players for his ex-system that he wasn't trying to implement at Man United. That was the flaw, not those players. Although a couple of these ex-players or ex-Ajax players like De Ligt and Maz look fucking brilliant for us this year, lo and behold, because we're building a system that gets the best out of their technical abilities. But look, as Owen says here, so Man United are likely to go for Roger Fernandes now after missing out on Quenda. This is a proper plan B, unlike Woodward. Again, and this is the thing, I want to wait and see a little bit. I'm going to wait and see. And I'll give you an example. Man United were preferred getting Mendes from PSG in January. Couldn't get it done. He signs a new deal. We go and get Dorgu. I'm not saying Dorgu is going to be as good as Mendes. He's a long way behind that level at the moment. But I'm really impressed with them and I'm excited. I know I wanted another striker and I'm disappointed we didn't get another attacker. I'm not going to change my mind on that. But we've also gone out and signed for under £1 million Heaven from Arsenal. Now, when we signed him,
he's looked very good.
He's so good, bro.
He looks
He's impressed me more than Euro. He's impressed me more than Euro, man. I'll be so real.
I'm not gonna lie, yeah. That performance alone yesterday.
Hang on, no. Euros look very good the last few games. Do you know why I think Heaven's impressed you more? The same as I feel that as well. It's perspective again. When we bought him in for like 800 grand, my honest thought was, well, we bought a youngster to play in the academy that we might flip in the future. But it actually looks, and again, when I say it looks like, we actually announced him on the day that we announced Dorgu to the fans and stuff. He was part of that. He's been bought for the first team and he looks good. And I think he's just so much better than I expected him to be. Where with Euro, because we bought him for a lot of money, you're like, well, he must be really good because you bought him for a lot of money. If we'd have bought Heaven off Arsenal for 30 million, our view would probably be different because we wouldn't be expecting more. But He's been brilliant. He's looked so comfortable. It was a tackle he made yesterday where he had to come from the side and run back. And I'm not going to lie, boys. I'm going to say this now because Man United have lacked it for a number of years. It's so good to see some strength, some acceleration, some explosiveness in the team. Dorgu's brought it to us as an example. Like Amad's played a lot more this
Martinez, your days are numbered.
That was starving.
I love it, mate. I know we have been. And I watched him yesterday. He got beat. He wasn't beat. He was caught out of position slightly because it was good play from Sociedad. And we're like, normally at this point, we've got centre-backs that are chasing after a player. They can't catch him. He just accelerated, got to the side, slid in, won the ball. And I'm like, there's some speed. The speed. I just love it. I love it, but you need a bit of speed.
It's good, man. It's good. It's good. Yeah, for me, the Euro thing, listen, I was hearing he's generational, Real Madrid want this guy. So I was like, all right, cool, let me go take him in. He's got a big name, up and coming and whatnot. I'm not going to overly cook this guy because he's young, he can improve. But like I said to you lot in the summer, when I was watching his games back, I wasn't seeing this generational talent that people were telling me about. I'm sorry. I was seeing this guy getting sliced and diced more than anything. Right?
That because of the one cinema.
Hold on. Let me finish.
It hasn't happened before or since.
Let me finish.
You're doing what you accused toxic Chelsea fans of doing earlier.
Let me land my point.
Let him bury himself. Let him speak.
The point that I'm saying is I wasn't seeing a generational talent. I was seeing someone who's got potential and can become a top player, right? But for example, when I watched Saliba against Chelsea pre-season, bro, I was like, yo, this guy's incredible. You know what I mean? I didn't get that feeling with Euro. Do you get it? That's the point that I'm making. Like, I feel like
hang on. Saliba's 5 years fucking older, Don.
I know
what he means when he saw him at the time.
I'm saying when I saw him at the time, when I saw him play against us.
When
we played them in pre-season, bro.
When did you play in pre-season?
The season we finished 12th. That was what, 3 years ago?
Oh, 3 years ago, right? Okay, when he was 20.
About 3 years ago.
I get that. I get where you're coming from, but with Euro, I think you didn't obviously watch. I know he got injured against Arsenal. You were not watching the Arsenal game.
I did. Nah, he was good. He was good in that.
Did you watch the Fulham game?
Bro, I watch all your games. You know this.
And you would have seen how brilliant he was.
Recently, he's been better. That's the point. But I'm saying, from what I've seen from Heaven instantly, I'm like, yo, this guy looks good, man.
Yeah, like, I understand. But the benefit Heaven's got, and I'm not playing down anything he's done, is Heavens hasn't emigrated at 18 years of age to a new country, a new land, and new things. He's moved, a couple of hours up the motorway as an example and been brilliant. I feel like Euro, he had the bad injury when he came in. He's had one bad game where he got cooked. But
anyone, so no matter what cooked anyone that day, I don't even want to hear it.
But he's also
he was my right back.
Okay.
Yeah, because he didn't play like that on that day.
Yeah, okay.
I said he got cooked.
Okay,
bro,
but look, he got cooked once. This happened before at Man United with Vidic. Vidic had a couple of bad games out of 14 matches when he played against Fernando Torres, and everyone talks like, Torres always cooked him. It was 1.5 games where he did. The rest of it, Vidic kept him quiet, and this happens a lot in football. We remember a certain incident. Yoro's been pretty good for Man United. I've been very, very impressed with him recently, but Heaven's been excellent as well. Because we're going to run out of time. We've got to get 2 more subjects in the next 20 minutes we've got to get through here. Don, that's why you're not a paid scout. Also in the summer, you can't take Don's centre-backs seriously. In the summer, he was saying Colwell over Gabriel in a combined...
There we go. You're a bad guy. I never said that. No. Let me clarify what I said.
No context for you. No context.
Gabriel, let's add context to this. I said Gabriel is a better defender than Cole. That's not even a debate, right? Mm-hmm. But I said if I had to bring a centre back, I'd bring Saliba to play next to Cole because the way that we play Maresca's system, the way we build from the back, Cole I think would be better in terms of the build-up.
Semantics.
In terms of defending, bro, Gabriel's better than Cole, man. Let's get that right.
Yeah.
He's better than him.
Heaven was rated in our academy even during the preseason. Heaven played a lot, for us, but he didn't have a pathway. I do agree. Look, you look at the centre backs. There wasn't a pathway into that team. We play with 3 as well. So if you're a centre back right now,
I'm sorry, he said it in our top 6 chat. Mr. Igao, when we signed this player that day, and I can go back and find the receipts. That's the guy that represents you guys, Arsenal fans. He told us that Heaven was a B Tech talent in their academy compared to the A talent, aka Waneri and what's his name, Lewis Skelly. So he told us he was a level below these guys. That is Igao for you guys.
But Igao also said that Robin van Persie was from their academy. So Yeah, years
Did
ago
he really
said
say
that.
that?
To be fair. It was a mistake. Right. Very quickly.
ahead.
Arsenal, are they going to smoke Chelsea this weekend?
I hope so. I really hope so. Hold on, though. I gotta speak on this first. You guys pissed me off so much with the Quenda deal that now for the rest of the season, I'm gonna make sure that I watch you guys. Hopefully, not making top 4, top 5. Because with the amount of deals that you're making and the way you're overtaking youngsters in football, I need you to take some financial hits so you can chill out. You guys are gonna need to stop this. So I'm gonna be watching Newcastle. I'm gonna be watching anyone who can make the top 5. Now you guys are going against Arsenal. I will be supporting Arsenal this week because it means nothing to me anyways if Arsenal lose. It won't do anything. So I'll be hate watching. Arsenal, if you want to beat big Real Madrid on all these compilations that you're making, you better make sure you win this game because you have a big test coming up. And your league is pretty much, I will be honest, every game so far until the Champions League is basically a practice game until they face Real Madrid because they have nothing to play for the league anymore. There's nothing they're going to win. Chelsea is a good test for them. So I don't remember what happened the first game, and maybe you need to remind me, Don. But
we drew.
If they don't get a win against you guys, they drew. Okay, so even better. Now they need to.
Remember, Martinelli scored. Sanchez should have saved it. Neto scored the banger. Enzo got the assist off the bench.
Why do I not remember that game? I don't remember.
At the bridge, bro. Neto equalized for us.
Okay. Well, anyways, what I'm trying to say is I need Arsenal to win this game for personal reasons. But go ahead, tell us about the game, man.
Yeah, listen, I'm not scared of Arsenal. I'm scared of Chelsea. Yeah, that's what I'm scared of. We're our own worst enemy. You know, I'm scared
of. The way you worded that was amazing.
I'm telling you,
I'm worried about Chelsea.
I'm worried about Chelsea, bro, because we've got a goalkeeper who's back in goal now. You know, he's cut off that black spray and he's gone bald. You know what I'm saying, right? But it doesn't mean that he's lost that bozo gene. You know, last game I saw him try to do a Superman punch for no reason. You know what I'm saying? So last time we played Arsenal at the bridge, well, last season, he gave the ball straight to Declan Rice and was comfortably cruising to a win. That's a player that I'm scared about. I don't know what Maresca's going to do in terms of setting up, because when we played Man City, Man decided to play the highest line and decided not to press from the front. You know, he gave these guys so much respect. So tactically, I'm not sure what Maresca's going to do. Obviously, Neto's going to start up top. That's an area where it's helped us recently, but the past 3 games, it's gone a little bit stale again. You know, when Neto's playing up there, you really miss Jackson. You know, you really miss someone else that can really push centre-backs back consistently. You know, Neto likes to come in a lot like in Nkunku as well to get the ball. You know what I'm saying?
What is he out for still, Jackson?
It should be back after the break. Innit? But the main thing for me is, listen, we've got the players to beat Arsenal right now because they're not firing up top. You know, they've got Marino playing up top. I don't think he'll start the game. I think he'll probably start Trossard down the middle, Martinelli on the left, and Nwaneri on the right. But the main thing with us and Arsenal is their defense is better than us, bro. Like I keep telling you, lot, they've conceded 12 less goals to us. And at the minute, we're not really clicking up top. We haven't really had many fluid games apart from the Southampton and maybe the Villa game recently. You know, it's been tough. But the main thing I'm looking at really is the mentality, man. We need to get over the line against these bigger teams because even before Maresca came in, it was poor, our record against these guys. They've beaten us in our last 10 games. We've won 1 game. That's shocking. You know what I mean? Every time Arsenal on poor form, we love to gift them something, right? I remember when they came to the bridge and they beat us with Smith Rowe and Eddie. Yeah, they were on shocking form at the time. Arteta was looking like he was going to get sacked. All of a sudden, we give them a W. You know what I mean? So I don't think we'll get battered like last year because Poch in that game, he literally started Gilchrist. He dropped Silva and Chalobah and started Disasi and Badiashile, the cramp twins. It was a shocking game. Enzo Fernandez running about with 1 leg. You know, this time around, we're coming with Caicedo, who's on better form. You know, Enzo Fernandez has been, like I said, fantastic. Palmer, I know he's been poor, but let's hope that he decides to turn up in this big game. Let's see what he does. And then in attack, like I said, Neto's given us a little bit more dynamism up there, man.
How do you think your approach is going to be? Not yours, sorry. Like Maresca's approach to the game is going to be.
I don't know.
When I look at this Arsenal game team, forget the PSV games because one of them they just rested everyone, and the first one, that 7-1 was an anomaly. You look at the last Premier League, last 3 Premier League games, they haven't won a game. They drew to West Ham, drew to Forest, and drew to us. They have actually 1 goal in 3 games. So they clearly, when you take away the PSV fixtures, they're struggling to score goals in the Prem. Now, the one thing in common in those games that everyone knew how to play against this Arsenal team, and even what's his name said it, Nuno Espirito Santo. He was talking about them not having strikers. honestly, just pack your box when they're attacking. Don't give them spaces. They don't have a natural 9 to do anything, so they struggle. Now, Maresca's a little bit more stubborn, as I like to think. You know, like he doesn't. I don't think he really adjusts so much to the opponents. How do you think he's gonna set up against this team? Because they'll keep the ball. I'll be honest. Like you can let Arsenal get the ball, but I feel like the more they have the ball, the lesser of a chance they have to win. They kind of need to play teams right now because of the lack of strikers. They need to have a setup where, like, you know what, let's surrender the ball a little bit, but that's going to afford us more space when we get it, and we can actually break their lines a little bit easier and quicker. That's how I'm looking at the game, but I don't know how Maresca's going to look at it.
100%. What we need to do is catch them on the break. I don't want us to be wide open because we're seeing right now Odegaard's been shocking this season. He's not created nothing. Declan Rice, like I keep telling you lot, he don't create much like that either, away from the fucking set pieces, the corners, right? So in those positions, we should be creating better chances. Enzo's a better creator than both of those midfielders. So is Palmer. You know what I mean? But on the transition is what I'm looking at. This is where you miss someone, like I said, like a Mudryk, because I don't want Sancho to start this game. I would rather Neto on one wing, and then you start, like I said, someone like a Mudryk. I don't think he's going to be brave enough to start George. So we're probably going to see Sancho on the left, doing a little bit of, you know, dilly-dally, go backwards. You know what I mean? But yeah, for this game, Staffy, I think it's going to have to be transitional football, man, where you soak up that pressure, you just get them on the break quickly. Fofana's back, so he should be starting the game. Reece is back as well. Lavia might even start as well. He's on the bench last game. So that should help us a little bit more in terms of, you know, how we are off the ball and whatnot, and our build-up as well. But yeah, ultimately, like I said, we can't leave too many holes. Don't make it easy for these guys to create because they've
Your
been
biggest up has been playing very well, by the way, Declan Rice. The last few
He's
games,
playing very well.
He's been so advanced up the pitch sometimes. I'm looking at some of the actions that he's doing. I'm like, I haven't really seen you do this in a while. He's setting up goals.
I don't think he's been playing very well. I just think he's been playing better than what
the last couple of games I think he's been.
Even against you, man, away from that tackle and the chance that the goal that he scored, he created fuck all, bruv. There's a couple of times I'm seeing man trying to pass the ball to the striker and it was just going straight to Onana. You know, he didn't do anything away from that. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's just been the best of a bad bunch. But overall, I think it's been average. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, it is where it is. Like
these might be last famous words. I'm just saying, because if he scores against you guys,
bro, listen. If he scores against us, it's the holler. It's the holler. We can't be letting him against us again. We can't be letting.
I agree. Why I've been so excited about this game is Chelsea attack by and large. You know, attacking team, whether you score or not is by the by. You attack. Arsenal do better against teams that open up and attack against them rather than sit back behind the ball. And I felt that it's either got to be Arteta or Maresca who kind of yields on their natural principle of trying to be the aggressor to win the game. And sometimes you get this, again, it's obviously a bit of a trivial sort of attack from rivals. Oh, you sat behind the ball, you were too scared to attack. Sometimes, as again, I always refer it to fighting. Sometimes to attack, you need to defend because you got to open people up and look for their vulnerabilities and counter. And that's the best way to beat someone. I actually think the team who counters best wins this match. The team whose counter-attacks are of the better level, who can exploit the space the other opponent leaves. If Chelsea just sit back the whole time, very compact, hard to break down, I do think Arsenal will struggle. But if you start opening up and you leave space for them to work him, that's where they don't have an out number 9. So you need to be really tight and close and compact on him. If he's given space, his deficiencies will be enhanced. Well, not be enhanced, they'll be reduced, his deficiencies, because he'll have more time to think, more time to do things. So I'm intrigued. You know, I've had a lot of gooners there asking people what they think is going to happen in our group chats, a lot of our member chats and stuff, and they've all said Arsenal. I don't think it's going to be an easy game for either side. I think it's going to be a narrow victory for Arsenal, though. I think Arsenal might grab it 2-1, something like that on the day.
I can't predict a W, man, because these lot need to prove to me that they can get over the line against the bigger teams because, we've got the quality to do it, right? But again, for me, I think I'm leaning more towards a draw. I'm going to be there again. You know what I mean? I was there last year to fucking witness that 5-0, which was a madness, right? But yeah, we need to make sure that off the ball we're very disciplined and on the ball we're brave. Very similar to when we went to Liverpool.
Yes.
We were very brave on the ball. You know what I mean?
Can I ask you a question? Should it end in another battering? Say you get beat 5-0, 4-0, 5-0. Say it ends badly like last year. I know you're still in the European competition, the Conference League, but could that be like the final straw for a lot of fans if you were to get battered by Arsenal, especially with their deficiencies in attack because of injuries. If you were to take a bit of a hammer in this week, do you feel that it could be the last
No, 100%.
People tolerate for your manager?
100%, man. 100%. I think a lot of people want to Poch out, but when we lost the way we did to Arsenal, I felt like it was a massive tipping point for a lot of people that were still giving this guy time. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think if he loses 5-0, especially with how we've been playing recently, people are not happy with how we've been playing. They've been falling asleep and whatnot. So, yeah, that will be bad. But I don't see us getting bad like that, man. Last year,
no, I don't
the way we were defending was horrendous, bro. Horrendous.
Yeah, I don't see you getting beat to that level. I'm just wondering about the sort of mindset of Chelsea fans at the minute. But viewers, we'd love to get your opinions on that. And on the Top 6 show, which is on at 6 p.m. today, we're going to go into that game with the get the panel details and stuff like that. Just quickly from you, gents, how do you see the Carabao Cup final going at the weekend? Newcastle, first win potentially, first trophy in 60 odd years. Liverpool fans hurting after the PSG defeat and looking for a little bit of revenge. How do you see it going, Don? Who's coming out on top?
I mean, Newcastle have a lot of injuries right now. That's the major thing. They're missing Gordon, right? Is it?
He's suspended. He's suspended.
Lewis Hall and Botman.
Lewis Hall and Botman as well. It's a tough one, man. Obviously, Liverpool, they've still got Salah and that. I know Trent's missing at the minute. These guys, they just, bro. I've got PTSD, man, because I've lost to these guys so many times recently, right? But listen, I hope Newcastle give it a go, man. I think they should just give it a go, take those shackles off, like I said. Obviously, defensively, we know how they defend anyway, right? And at the minute, Salah, he just got locked up by Nuno. You know what I mean? So he's gonna wanna do a look of something. But I'm just hoping that Isak will be the game changer in this game, man. Because in Liverpool, they haven't got a striker. When they play Jota up there, it's very similar to when I'm watching Nkunku. He's not great, and this season he's been shit. Let's be real. And even when they play Diaz up there, it's not great. So for me, I think the difference in this game is mainly going to be Isak or Salah. That's how I'm kind of looking at the game. I can't lie.
Yeah,
I think it's going to come down to difference makers. It's going to be a closer game than a lot of people think. I just learned a stat today from a Liverpool fan that apparently Newcastle haven't beaten them since 2005, I believe. When they had Steve McClaren. I don't know. I didn't know that, but today I heard that. But yeah, listen, I don't want to call Liverpool lucky because that's just what happens in football. But it's a bit unfortunate that there's no Gordon, there's no Botman, there's no Lewis Hall. But I still think Newcastle have enough to try and win this game. I don't think they're the favorites, but I think they still have enough. The fact that Isak is fit and is going to play, I think that kind of saves them because I thought, if Isak was out, it'd have been no point of us covering this game right now. Liverpool need to bounce back after, I'm not going to lie, two very disappointing performances against PSG. They didn't just lose to PSG. I think they got schooled by PSG. They got out-footballed by PSG. And maybe this is a conversation for a different time. I think it kind of exposed the level of the Premier League this season because we've been having these discussions. Is the Premier League weaker than usual this season? I think the PSG is the best team Liverpool played this season, and they absolutely spanked them. It didn't show on the score, but it showed in the performance. And everyone who has a brain would have told you that PSG arguably deserved to win by more goals. And now is their chance to bounce back and win a trophy because it's not going to make up for being out of the Champions League. It kind of softens it a little bit. But they'll be there out in the pub celebrating another trophy.
Winning 2 trophies in a season, though, like winning a league and a trophy with it.
Very good season still.
Liverpool haven't done that for 40 odd years, I think, where they've won a league and another trophy alongside it. And I think there is I wouldn't use the word desperation, but there is a massive desire in the Liverpool fan base to have a season where Man United, we had loads like it. We did doubles, trebles, Premier League and Champions Leagues, Premier League and League Cups. City have done it loads recently. And, Arsenal's Wenger team did 2 doubles. Chelsea have done, whether it be League and League Cup, they've done doubles with Carlo Ancelotti as an example. Even when they won the Champions League, they won the Champions League, I think, and the Carabao Cup in the same season as an example. And I think that those are great sides. And I think Liverpool want to be seen as a great side again externally. And the great sides have multiple trophy winning seasons. So yeah, it's massive for them. We're going to touch on that more on the Top 6 show coming up at 6 p.m. today with the panel, and Phil was joining us on that, which will be amazing. I want to give a big shout out to our title sponsors today. And what's going to be really fun is we're bringing back the forfeits to whichever one of us performs the worst.
No, Alolos is not here.
On Fantasy.
Got scared.
But no, he's coming back. But what we're going to be doing is we're changing it up. Okay, so you guys, I know a lot of you have already got accounts, but this is coming up very, very soon. Okay, and it is the EPL final sprint. Okay, and everyone who's already got an account or anyone who signs up to an account, once you've deposited on Fan Team, you will receive a free ticket, £10 in ticket, so you can enter multiple teams into the EPL's final sprint. But what we are going to do differently this time round is that we can't all pick the same players. As a panel, we are going to do a draft, and we're going to basically pull straws on who goes first and who goes last, and you get to pick. You pick your player, and once you pick them, you're stuck with them. But once that player's gone, nobody else can get them. And what we're going to think of, and want you, the audience, to think about this, we need a massive forfeit for the loser, something that is terrible, embarrassing, painful, maybe. Yeah, we need you to think of a brilliant, brilliant forfeit for the EPL game that we have coming up, the final sprint, an amazing game. We want you to join in and play with us as well. And everybody that deposits, everybody that signs up, everybody that deposits and enters this will go into a prize draw with Fan Team to win either a brand new Xbox or a brand new PlayStation 5, as well as a giveaway to you. They will be picking that at random because we don't have any of your personal details, because that would be a data breach. So there's an incentive in there as well. If you fancy a bit of fantasy football, having a little bit of a go as well. £20,000 prize for the winner of the EPL final sprint, plus the loser out of the 4 panelists on the Friday Straight Fact shows. The loser is going to do a massive, massive forfeit. So I want to thank Fan Team for partnering with us again. I know a lot of you have already got accounts. All you've got to do to enter the draw for the computer is deposit on the account. You'll also be generated a free ticket for the EPL final sprint that starts on the 1st of April. So get yourself signed up, get yourselves ready now, and the boys start thinking about who you want to put in your fantasy team. Everyone who's tuned in, I want to. Oh, actually, we've got a super chat here. Sorry, I missed it. It says, if you are the sporting director of Arsenal, what 3 players would you sign for 205 million? Love the show. Smash the like button. Come on, you gooners. We'll pick one each. Striker, Staffy. Who would you go with?
Do I have to name exact names or just positions?
The striker you would sign. The striker you would sign.
Ooh. I don't know if this is going to fit the budget. I think they should have went for Osimhen, but I feel like that ship has sailed. So I don't know what the striker is right now. There's a few upcoming strikers that I like for this summer that probably won't cost a lot, but I'll just say striker in general. I don't know. There's too many options.
Okay. How about yourself, Don? What player would you pick if you had that budget? Tell me a player you would sign for Arsenal.
What, 3 players? One.
You pick one.
Just
one. We'll do one player each.
Oh,
yeah.
Isak. I'll probably say.
I hear you.
He's like, it's going to cost the 200 alone.
Yeah.
It's a one player. So yeah, Isak.
I look at, for me, I would look at Gyökeres at around 60 million. You've got Nico Williams available for around. There's a lot of players available for good money. Nico Williams, 40 to 50 million euros. Zubimendi's 40 to 50 million euros. You could get all 3 of those players and have change. And if you were to put Gyökeres, Zubimendi, and Nico Williams into the Arsenal squad this season, I think they're still in that title race, and everybody's much more confident of them beating Real Madrid. So for me, that is what I would spend the money on personally. Thank you for that super chat, Jack. Everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Don, Staffy, always a pleasure to sit and speak football. We're back at 6 p.m. live for the Top 6 show. Cannot wait to see you there. Go and check out Fan Team now. Get your account ready, because the Premier League final sprint is going to be an amazing game. And I'm telling you, I am not coming bottom this time. I am coming out. I don't actually care if I come top or second or third. I just don't want to come last, because we are going to think of the worst, most gruesome forfeit for the loser. Until next time, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon. Peace.